it's super useful to understand some of the easy or the common mistakes that we can make when we're writing. So basically, we don't end up making them. But what happens if we actually don't realize that we're making these mistakes in the first place? Ironically, one of the most common mistakes that we can make is to actually not realize that we're making a mistake. I come across this myself so often. I'm always striving to improve. I'm always striving to evolve and think better. So for me, I'm always looking for areas that I can hone, areas that I can practice. And let me tell you, I will see something every day where I'm like, oh my God, how long has that been there? How long have I been doing that without realizing? So it's just to say we all make these mistakes. It's not like, oh, I don't want to be the only one making mistakes. And often it's that concern that we don't want to make mistakes that prevents us from actually seeing the mistakes that we're making. So that's one of the things that can get in the way. But the other really common thing that stops us from seeing the mistakes that we're making is because when we're in the mistake, the reason it's a mistake is because we can't see that we're making it. So we kind of get into this real head spaghetti. Now, this is stuff that I've experienced from my own journey of trying to put all of this right. If I then step into a place where I'm like, okay, so I don't realize I'm making mistakes with my writing, so I'm just going to try and not make them. I'm going to try and improve. But if we come from that perspective of I'm making mistakes, but I don't know what they are, what we're essentially doing here is a little bit like a computer program trying to write a program for another computer. So the first computer that's trying to write the computer program for the other computer already has its very limited program. So from its own limited program, it's trying to create another program. So that second program is going to be confined by the limits of that first program. So therefore, how can we try to free ourselves from making mistakes here by programming something from this very place? We're going to simply program another habit or another pattern or another way of thinking that comes from these already set limitations. So how can we work our way around this? How can we not make mistakes with our writing, but seek to improve our writing from a place that's already making mistakes, right? So my solution to this is where we do a process where we connect to what I call a higher creative power. So here we are. We don't want to make mistakes with our writing. We want to make sure that we're always improving our writing, but we want to improve our writing from this higher creative place. So a really nice way to get to this place, because you might be like, yeah, that sounds great, but like, how do I get to this higher creative place? So the best way to get to this place I have found is by working with the imagination. Because essentially you want to be in collaboration with your imagination. And when that happens, you do start to create new levels of creativity. You do start to really make great artistic leaps and bounds. So really nice way to do this, using your imagination to connect to this higher creative place, is to imagine that you're tuning in to a radio station. So imagine that if I had a radio beside me and I started to tune that radio in and I went to a certain frequency, we would hear a song or we would hear somebody talking because we had tuned into that radio frequency. So I want for you to imagine that there's a radio frequency out there, which is your radio frequency, teaching you, calling you, speaking to you, guiding you into this place of like total writing awesomeness. So on one level you think, oh, I don't want to be making these mistakes. I want to make sure that I am improving as a writer. And so that's the radio station that you're picking up. But if you tune to this other radio station, you're suddenly going to get ideas. You're suddenly going to get insights. Ooh, actually, what if I start to tell my novel from a different perspective? Or, ooh, what if I start to tell this short story as a short story between two differing points of view rather than try to tell it all in one point of view. So you'll start to get insights, you'll start to get ideas, and that, when you follow through with those insights and ideas, is going to really improve your writing. So how do we tune in to this radio station? Well, for me, I've got 3 really nice prompts that help me really begin to align my thoughts, really begin to allow me to focus my mind on this higher creative place. So I'm going to share these journal prompts with you. So the first one, really, really simply, is what is the sound of my writing dream? Okay. Now, you can actually sit and begin to imagine this one already. For me, I do find it quite useful to begin to journal on it first, because that way you can begin to explore your thoughts and ideas on the page. But again, it might be that you straight away, as you're even watching this video, you might even press pause, you might even just close your eyes, and you might imagine if that radio station did suddenly tune in to your writing dream, what would you hear? Would you hear the sound of people arriving at your book launch? Would you hear the sound of people congratulating you on winning an Oscar for your screenplay? What is the sound of your writing dream? So tuning into that radio station. So as I said, you can just start to imagine it straight off, but I do find it really useful to journal on this one first. Second prompt. I want for you now to come out of the sound and imagine feeling that radio station. So, how does your writing dream feel? So again, imagine those feelings like frequencies or radio waves coming through the air. So your writing dream is there, that station, that frequency. So again, it's really useful to journal on this one, and then you can sit and imagine the feeling afterwards. But how does your writing dream feel? Now, it may be that you might need to bring a certain thought or an image into your mind. So, first of all, you might be like, I don't know how my writing dream feels. But again, explore, use your imagination. Remember, collaborate with your imagination. So you might be thinking, well, how does my writing dream feel? Well, if my writing dream is to complete the first draft of my novel, how would I feel having completed that first draft of my novel? I'd feel so relieved. I'd feel really excited. I'd feel super proud of myself. So you're beginning to imagine those feelings. So excited, proud, relieved. So that's a really nice second one to help you start to connect to that higher creative level. And then the third journal prompt, and this one's really important, is what you would be thinking when you achieved that creative or that writing dream. So one of the things that can really prevent us from seeing the mistakes that we're making with our writing is because we're thinking the same things. When we start to imagine ourselves in a place of success, having achieved our writing dream, we then start to realize that we'd be thinking totally different stuff. And that's when we actually start to relax our mind and we allow ourselves to think new things. And as soon as we start to think new things, we learn new things. And then information just begins to be absorbed. And the more information we absorb, the more our writing improves. So again, what would you be thinking when you achieved your writing dream? So it might be that you might be thinking to yourself, oh my God, I'm so glad to have got my book published. Or wow, now that I've got my book published, I know that people are going to be reading my stories and I'm just so excited to be sharing them with people. And so suddenly you realize, oh my gosh, these are totally new thoughts. And when you start to think these thoughts, you're going to feel differently. And what that means is when you look at your current writing, you're going to start to see how to make it even better, because you're going to feel even better. You're going to be feeling like that person who's just been nominated for the Booker Prize. And so when you look at your writing, you're going to see how to make your writing Booker Prize worthy. So these are three really beautiful prompts. I'm just going to go through them again. What is the sound of my writing dream? That one really, really helps. Also, how does my writing dream feel? So really get a sense of how you'll feel when you achieve that dream. And then lastly, what will I be thinking when I achieve that dream? So if you enjoy the idea of using journal prompts to really transform your mindset and to help you achieve your creative dreams, then you are going to really love the Write No Matter What community. We're a free community on Facebook, and we would love for you to come and join us. When you sign up to join the community, you will also get access to my free video masterclass. It's a short video, and in that video I share my favourite ways to create, live and earn just the way that you want. So it's a really nice place to start if you're beginning to think about wanting to fulfill a creative dream, wanting to live as a freelancer, wanting to have a really fulfilling creative life. So hopefully see you in the community. You'll find the link below, which will send you over to the registration page. And then once you join the community, you're going to have access to live interviews. You're going to have access to really inspiring and motivational content. Can't wait to see you in the community. Really hope that you got value from today's video. If you've got any questions at all, pop them in the comments, my friends. I love to answer your questions. If you learned anything today, then again, please let me know. And if you're beginning to think about some of the mistakes that you might be making, why not share them and find out ways that you can really transcend and totally connect to that higher creative purpose. Have a really beautiful week, and I'll see you next Monday on the sofa. Take care.